261 A certain noble's tyranny, sighed Tolman. During our camp to rest our horses, I draw my sword to examine its blade. Ah, my sword aches. It yearns to slay the barbarians. You seem to be enjoying yourself very much, Tolman Kaka. 1. The pale-faced man approaching me with a smile is the foremost among my retainers, the magic swordsman Azalea. From his achievements on this trip, he shall soon be known as the greatest at both magic and sword in the country of Ardisia. Originally he was another noble's retainer, but I enticed him into my service with money. After getting worked up about complaints about his social status, preparations were made around that noble's territory and he was forced to flee in the night. No, was it a suicide? I suppose it doesn't matter, it was that trivial a thing. It's been a while since I've killed a human after all, fufuhu. Well, killing savages that lack morals or wisdom might not be much different from slaughtering animals, though. The purpose of this journey is to kill the mythic beast known as carbuncle. The carbuncle is a monster of legend, with fur that shines green-white and a jewel embedded in its forehead. There is a rumor that an adventurer sighted it near a Lithovar settlement a few decades ago. In the country in which my territory is located, Ardisia, as a result of the king's infertility due to illness and the death of the crown prince in an accident, it has become that there are no young males with royal blood. For that reason, following ancient precedent, the first princess shall marry one with court rank, who shall then be made king. The first princess has stated that her husband shall be the candidate who prepares her the most magnificent gift. Upon consideration, I came to the idea of stuffing and presenting her with the mythic beast, carbuncle. If I can obtain that monster, then there's no doubt that I shall triumph over the other candidates. In my search for the carbuncle in this forest, what I expect to be both the biggest clue as well as my biggest hindrance is the tribe of barbarians known as Lithivars. As a result, I have brought the first 80 units of my private army, the Starved Hunters. Although there are exceptions, a typical unit consists of 8 soldiers, so in total there are almost 650 present. I had thought it a little excessive, but there is a rumor that the Lithivar tribe has a double-headed dragon as a guardian deity. Because the scale and state of their settlement is unknown, in order to be sure of defeating them handily, I had no choice but to bring great numbers. However, the cost of moving so many soldiers is immense and, although it is just a corner, this land is nominally within another noble's domain, so I suffered hardship in order to obtain permission to bring such war potential. I had insisted that the hunting of the carbuncle was secondary to my primary purpose in virtuously exterminating the Lithivar tribe. However, it seems that the Lithivars only rarely leaves the forest depths, so my proposal was not shown much interest. Perhaps the Lithivars do not cause as much damage as was rumored. My guess is that the person in charge of the area near the forest fabricated a story about suffering damage from the Lithivars as a way of arguing for less tax to be sent to the capital. Regardless, I was able to win permission through a large bribe to the lord of this area. I was made to do needless work and to take on further expenses, but since I shall be invading the forest, I am likely to make the Lithivar tribe my enemy all the same. It was a necessary cost. If anything, it is cheap when one considers that this will be enough to make me king. Incidentally, the commanding officer of the first squad of the Starved Hunters is that man with the poor complexion from earlier, Azalea. This time he shall primarily be working as my escort. Nonetheless, as I shall be attacking from the front personally, he shall be worked hard. I have heard that the Lithivar tribe is strong, but they are probably no match for the elites of the Starved Hunters. If it is needed, there are squads within the Starved Hunters who specialize in attacking the opponent's weaknesses by doing things such as taking hostages in order to limit their movements. Although it is possible that I am being too cautious of a barbarian tribe, I shall not be attacking straight away. I will send scouts to probe their state of affairs and check their war potential, then strike at the perfect time in order to crush the settlement in one fell swoop. I will torture information about the carbuncle out of women and children that I leave alive, but afterwards they shall of course be massacred. With this, not only will the carbuncle fall into my hands, but at the same time I can achieve military prowess by destroying the infamous barbarian tribe. There is no doubt that I shall be made the king of Ardisia as a result. Azalea, what do you think of this plan to destroy the Lithivar tribe? This Azalea was once again impressed by your wisdom. Your plan will keep casualties to a minimum. All that's left is to see how much information the scouts bring back. Fohahaha. I see, that is surely true. However, are you not thinking that it would be more interesting if there were some more uncertain elements? After all, we have both the renowned magic swordsman yourself and myself, who is feared as the Sword Lord. Dim-witted savage monkeys could never be a match for us. I raise my voice, and the assembled soldiers of the starved hunters laugh out in agreement. Azalea suddenly looks behind me, a look of consternation on his face. I turn around to see a single person not laughing, sitting separate from the group. It is Nell, a member of the starved hunters' first unit, led by Azalea. A pair of animal ears sprout from his deep blue hair. He's a fearless Huma too, brat. He is one of the people who, no, one of the animals that have fled slavery and been accepted in large quantities into Ardesia. From my point of view, counting such demi-human filth as humans is repulsive. His skill with the sword is excellent, so I put it in first unit, but I can stomach neither his species, appearance, nor personality. In the moment, I am unable to stomach the way he is sitting with an expression that cools the atmosphere. He has the stench of an animal, and so is the only member of first unit that I have not allowed in my mansion. Azalea moves closer to Nell, peering at his face. What's wrong, Nell? Tolman Kaka has gone out of his way to raise our morale, and yet you give such a cold reaction. Perhaps there is something wrong with your health? I also stand up and approach Azalea and Nell.
Oh, that's it, I see now.
If your health is poor, then there's no helping that you ignored your benefactor. I was just thinking I should tear off those uselessly big ears. I pinch Nell's ears, forcing him to his feet.
Oh. Sorry.
But
HM?
Well, what? If you have something to say, then say it. I don't think you have any reason to hesitate.
No, it is nothing.
It's not nothing, is it? Say, Azalea, you think so too, right? This fellow, he was about to say something, don't you agree? As both his ears and his mouth are decorations, would it not be good to lighten his face a little? If you think so too, I could prune them off now? As Nell once again hesitates to speak, I take my dagger from my cloak and hold it to his lips. His expression tightens as he looks at the blade, but eventually he gulps as he makes his resolve.
Aram.
No matter how savage the Lithovar tribe may be to massacre their women and children, that is, I must say that I have some reluctance. I was wondering if, with this much military prowess, if it wouldn't be possible to simply threaten them to remind them not to fight us. As I thought, you don't need this mouth, do you? I turn the blade lengthways and thrust it into Nell's mouth. He leans back to try and escape, but I hold his neck in place with my other hand. He is able to stop me pushing the blade further by clenching it between his teeth, though blood drips down its edge. His face pales, tears forming in his eyes as he falteringly shakes his head. Fohahaha. It is a joke, a joke. This is why humorless people are such trouble. Does everyone think so too? I say, and the soldiers all laugh out. As though relieved, Nell relaxes his jaw. Taking the opportunity, I knee him in the chin. Blood spills from his mouth as he collapses to the ground in pain. Aya. Nell moans as he rolls on the floor. What a fool! I am already bound by contract to the idiot lord of this land to massacre the tribe of barbarians dwelling in the forest. This is why slow-witted demi-humans are so troubling. I'm sure that Lord doesn't care much about the Lithivars either, but at this crucial time I cannot take on any ill repute. If I make a mistake, I would be burdened with unnecessary expenses. After shouting, I wipe my chest with my fingers. Having confirmed that his blood got on me, I spit on the ground. It's dirty with beast blood. Oi, someone bring me something to wipe it off with. The moment I say that, Azalea appears with a cloth. It is as though he predicted this flow of events and prepared it beforehand. Should I get Nell some medical treatment? I suppose he is part of my military strength after all. It would be problematic if he become useless. He must die on the battlefield rather than here. 1 Kaka, honorific for nobles. 2 The same race as Nina. 262 A moment at the shrine. I return to the Dragon God's shrine with Arrow. My attention focuses on a big tree that wasn't there before. The tree uproots itself and a large mouth opens on it. Oh, it was Lesser Trentsan. The trant shakes and yellow-green spiderlings plop to the ground. It's the baby Arenes. More of them come crawling out of the shrine.
Ga. Gua.
My partner stretches her head out and the spiderlings come closer. They climb onto her head and start tapping her with their feet, playing around. It seems she really wants to keep them. What's going to come of them, I don't know. But with them welcoming us back like that, this place is really starting to feel like a home. The spiderlings, the trant, Arrow, and now the clay rabbit too. Yeah, it's nice that it's gotten lively. It's nice, but it's really starting to look like I'm headed down the Demon Lord route. When these guys grow up, they could form quite the war potential.
Gah. Gah.
My partner raises a scream-like voice. I turn to look and see her face is covered in spider thread. What sort of game is she playing now? Take them.
Take them off me.
If you shake your head enough, they'll fall off.
If they fall badly, they could die.
Yeah. I don't think these guys are so fragile that you have to worry that much. Spiders which would stick their nest to the head of an A-rank evil dragon can't be that common. I lightly tap her head with my forefoot and all the spiderlings drop to the ground.
Ga.
She rests her head on the ground in exhaustion. Rather than the spiderlings, there's something I should be paying attention to. A short distance from the shrine, food has been placed. The Lithivars must have come and left them. When they came, the treant probably pretended to be a tree, I expect. The image of Baron looking dejected at the empty shrine floats to the surface of my mind. Thank you as always. My partner also rouses from her groggy state and drools as she looks at the lined-up foods. Since I've been hunting all day, I'm starving to be honest. There's a jar of alcohol, a boar, a big box. Isn't the lid of that box a little bit tilted? I wonder what's inside. I think about the future as I approach the food. The most pressing issue is the reconciliation between the Dragon God faction and the anti-Dragon God faction. Even if the anti-Dragon God faction breaks, there's still the question of whether the strangely strict Dragon God faction will accept them. From what Tatark said, that's likely to be the biggest obstacle. If the Dragon God has influence, then I should be able to make do somehow. In the first place, I don't know what the extent of the Dragon God faction's animosity is anyway. As I approach the food, I get a bad premonition. Alcohol. 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 My partner chants to me. Well, I suppose it doesn't matter. Even if the box explodes when I open it, I'd be able to handle it somehow. Thinking that, I stretch my forefoot towards the wooden box. I hear an unpleasant rustling sound and stop moving. The wooden box shakes a little. My presence perception, which has been silent all this time, suddenly starts warning me. My spine gets colder and colder. This feeling, I remember it. However, I can't exactly leave it as it is either. I don't feel like crushing a box of gifts the Lithivars left for me, contents and all. Maybe they have a custom of capturing animals alive for me. I should decide what to do after I've seen what's inside. I scratch at the lid with my claw. Better stop, it's not good. She must have sensed something too. But I swing my forefoot up regardless. The lid flies off. With a quick reaction as though it's chasing the lid, a giant bug jumps out. A striped body with 8 long legs sprouting from it. Far too many teeth line its mouth. Vee. As I thought, it's an abyss. Not wanting to squish it with my bare hands, I take a step back. Via. The moment I do, it spits the remains of something out of its mouth. Droplets of blood and meat covered in a pale green saliva. Probably, the abyss had gotten into the box and was in the middle of eating the tribute of meat. I guard with my wings right away and get the sensation of something uncomfortably warm sticking to them. Vee. Vee. Moving its legs fast, the abyss runs away from me in a zigzag. Go! I pour magic power into the wings I close to block, then open them forcefully to release wind slash. I don't fire a single shot, but 8 simultaneous shots. The blades of wind gouge through earth, trees, and rocks as they continue towards it. One of them reaches the abyss, cutting its body in 2. Normal skill wind blade has risen from level 5 to 6. Cream-colored fluid spurts from the abyss body. 180 experience points have been acquired. Due to the title skill Walking Egg, LV-, an additional 180 experience points have been acquired. Phew, I'm starting to get used to exterminating them. I still don't want to look at its dead body though. Just when I thought the lid was a little misaligned, an abyss pops out. I wanted to stop seriously. I gently take a look inside the box to see 3 bird-like monsters. All of them have had the bellies bitten into, their innards exposed. Why did it eat each of them bit by bit? Was it trying to harass me? My stomach might be empty, but I don't want to eat the abyss leftovers. For that matter, this bird, it hasn't got abyss eggs laid in it, has it? It's okay, right? I'm pretty sure God's voice said they lay their eggs in monsters larger than themselves. If that's the case, then these birds should be safe since they're smaller than it. That should be the case, but with the way they've been eaten and scattered around it just seems too unclean. There's even some saliva-like liquid on them. My partner's also staring at the remains of the abyss's meal with a more serious expression than I've ever seen on her face. As I thought, this is too much for her too. That would be the case. With eyes closed, it's edible. Seriously? Don't try and do the impossible now. As declared, she closes her eyes and swallows the bird meat abyss leftovers whole. With ragged breaths, she opens her eyes. Water, want a drink? Water. Why, you didn't have to push yourself that hard. No, we share our body, so I know how empty your stomach was too. Could just be my imagination, but my mouth feels sticky. I get it. There are times when I get that feeling too. For that matter, if it bothers you that much, then why did you eat it? Aren't you a bit too much of a foul feeder? Where does that obsession for food come from anyway? Exasperated, I turn to look at the jar of alcohol. For now, let's sterilize your mouth with alcohol. It's okay for you to drink it all. She raises the jar to the air between her teeth, drinking the contents in one go. When she finishes, she puts the jar back on the ground. I seriously felt like crying back there. I see, you're okay now. As I breathe a sigh of relief and amazement, I see the spiderlings swarming over the abyss corpse. They bite pieces off, wrapping them in thread. My eyes bulge reflexively. Those guys, are they seriously going to eat the abyss? For that matter, is it even edible? 263, an ominous nightmare. After eating up all the tribute with my partner, I rest in the shrine. Even though she falls asleep right away, I find it a bit harder to get to sleep. The baby arenes, the spiderlings, are moving around the shrine strangely energetically. It's bothering me too much that I can't sleep. Please quiet down a bit, seriously. Gah. My partner lets out a carefree sigh in her sleep.
Damn it, why just me?
I wonder if there isn't a skill to put yourself to sleep. If I had that, I'd be able to fall asleep right away no matter where I was. Even with my eyes closed, I'm not able to fall asleep, so I watch my partner breathing as she sleeps. When I next evolve, will she disappear, I wonder? She's saved me countless times already. When we couldn't quite understand each other at the start, we'd clash over the differences in our way of thinking, but now she's my closest friend and most my important ally. This is despite how, way back when I saw the twin-head dog, I swore that I'd never evolve to get two heads. In my next evolution, can I still be a two-headed dragon? If I can't, I don't really need to evolve. As I am now, I'm plenty strong already, so I probably won't ever be forced into choosing to lose something again. I've never seen any A-rank monsters besides myself, and the knight leader, Adolf, was only a little stronger than a C-rank monster. Though please forgive me for not wanting to evolve into a three-headed dragon. With the stress we'd cause each other, it'd be hard to get things done. For just a moment, it felt like there was a blank in my consciousness. Just now, was that God's voice? Though it's not like there's a message coming through, nor did I just defeat a monster or anything, so it could have just been my imagination. Though maybe it was some sort of unexpected bug. With how game-like this world is, having a few bugs wouldn't seem strange. As I'm thinking that, my consciousness grows dimmer and dimmer. Casa 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 casa. As I'm waking up, I hear the sounds of the spiderlings crawling near my ear. These guys, when will they take a break, seriously? One of the spiderlings sticks to my nose. It's ticklish, so I feel a sneeze coming.
Why you?
What are you doing? I shake my head and the spiderling falls to the floor, and I get up.
Guachin.
From beside me, I hear my partner's giant sneeze. Did you also get woken up by them? I feel like my tail's a little bit itchy, so I turn around to see a good number of them crawling over my tail too. Why you guys, you've really got the nerve to do as you please. In the next moment, the spiderlings all disperse in different directions. Remaining in the middle is an abyss. The abyss had frantically waved its 8 arms around, sending them flying. It doesn't look like the spiderlings got fatally wounded. The abyss is C-rank and the spiderlings are E-rank. With the difference in status, they should be crushed when struck, not just thrown away like that. I'm glad they're okay, but...
It's you again?
The abyss must have hidden its presence, because I discovered it painfully late. It seems like they were crawling on my nose to tell me about it. Even in this situation, I'm unexpectedly calm. Though I'm not pleased that I've seemingly gotten used to having an abyss on me. Ga-ahoheoha. My partner roars, shaking her head. It seems she hasn't gotten used to it at all. Az-ho-gee, Gale. Arrow raises her hand towards my tail that the spiderlings scattered from. A miniature tornado appears and attacks the abyss. Losing to the gale, the abyss mouth separates from my tail. However, the tornado also breaks apart, and after wrapping a pair of long legs around my tail, the abyss opens its mouth and faces Arrow. VEE. The abyss opens its mouth wide, revealing the creepy insides of its mouth lined with a massive number of teeth. Now that I look, this guy has 2 rows of teeth. I hadn't noticed earlier since I don't like looking, and even now I want to puke. I raise my tail into the air. The yellow liquid it fires misses Arrow, splashing against the back wall. With a sizzling sound, the wall is eroded. It seems that was meant to be its revenge for the gale. I wonder if all of its techniques are disgusting. I raise my tail further, smashing it against the ceiling. Via! The whole shrine shakes. A cavity forms in the abyss body, cream-colored body fluids leaking from it. I continue on to slam it against the floor. Crushed, its legs convulse. It seems that one of legs was lost in the strike, as there are only 7 now. I turn around and pierce my claw deep into its back. 173 experience points have been acquired. Due to the title skill Walking Egg, LV-, an additional 173 experience points have been acquired. The level of Ouroboros has risen from 65 to 66. Yuga, I got abyss between my claws. It got on my tail too, so I need to wash it. Isn't the abyss encounter rate a bit high? Is that just how it is? I have a bad feeling about it though. That reminds me, the Spiderlings and Arrow participated in the battle, so their level should have risen, right? Name Arrow. Species Reveana Mage. Condition Cursed. LV 3/30. HP 50/54. Mepe 44/55. Oh. I didn't think she'd progress as fast as she did in her previous evolutions, but it looks like her level went up a decent amount. Even though the early levels right after an evolution tend to be fast, she's making good progress. Her next evolution might come sooner than I thought. Ga. What's up, partner?
2 of them caught in tail.
Eh? I look back to see the abyss legs caught in my tail. They're still twitching as though they're alive. Whoa! I shake my tail, sending the legs flying. As always, the spiderlings are clustered around the abyss corpse. One of them chases after a leg I tossed away. Those guys' stomachs really are strong. As I breathe a sigh, presence perception reacts. Several somethings are moving towards the shrine. This feeling? They're humans. I signal Arrow with a glance, and she nods in response. Picking up the clay rabbit, she runs into the depths of the shrine. I poke my head out of the shrine and see Hibby and Baron approaching. I've seen them as a pair before, so I'm wondering if Baron is Hibby's guard. The 2 of them are running closer in a hurry. However, Baron's usual running speed is faster, so he stops and waits for her to catch up a few times. Just match her pace already. Hibby's face is obscured with a mask, so I can't see her expression, but Baron's face is pale. But his relief upon seeing me is apparent in his breathing. It's awful. The village is in a terrible situation. Please, would you be so kind as to lend the weak us your strength? Arriving first, Baron sits on the ground and bows his head to me. What's wrong? Why the need for such a hurry? Hibby, who arrives after, breathes heavily from behind her mask. Baron, please step back. I have no excuses, Hibby-sama. But I was in such a hurry. Baron bows his head to me and Hibby, then steps back behind her. 264 attack. After a sidelong glance at Baron, who's fidgeting in worry, Hibby turns to face me. Having chanted an incantation under her breath, she connects to me with telepathy. The truth is our village is under attack. We have come to borrow your strength. Why your village? The women and children have taken shelter in the basement of the meeting hall, but our opponents are numerous, so at this rate. I got it. In any case, it's better if we hurry, right? Is it okay if we go now and I hear the explanation later? That would be a great help. Thank you very much, Dragon God-sama. Hibby silently bows her head. Then, like before, I put Hibby and Baron on my back and head towards the village. On the way, I spot another abyss. I don't have time to deal with it, so I keep on running like I never saw it. An attack, huh? She said some dangerous-sounding things too. Is it a swarm of monsters? There's no way it's the anti-Dragon God faction attacking, is it? And no, there shouldn't be any reason for them to fight now. There's no way defeating the manticore would have made their relationship worse, is there? Could there be something I missed? As I continue to run, the Dragon God village comes into view. I throw my thoughts to Hibby. So, I didn't quite catch it, what exactly is attacking you? Those things are... Those things? Wondering what she means, I turn my gaze to the front, figuring that I'll find out by seeing. 3 Lithavar men are standing back to back, their spears ready. In between there's someone carrying a bloodstained person on their back. However, I can't see the opponent they should be fighting. The men are surveying their surroundings, but upon seeing me, their tense expressions melt away.
Dragon God Sama has come.
You fool!
Don't lose your focus.
The moment the second man shouts, a black mass appears and charges them. With its 8 legs writhing as it moves, there's no mistaking it as anything but an abyss.
Watch out! They've come! Calm down and push it back.
The 3 of them break their formation to face the abyss together, but another one makes its appearance behind them.
T2 of them together?
Go! Startled by my roar, the 2 abysses flee into the village, disappearing from view. I was able to get rid of them for now, but they've gotten inside the village. Damn it! I thought it was strange how many there were, they're also appearing in the village now. I let Hibby and Baron down. My partner glares at where the abysses disappeared. It's clear from the look in her eyes that they're what she least wanted to see. My feelings are exactly the same. Looking at Hibby, I ask her, why are there so many of them? The abyss breeding season is approaching, so their activity is increased as they acquire the nutrition needed to lay eggs. For some reason their numbers during breeding season has increased in the last few years, with the scale and frequency of their attacks rising year by year. I expect they are attacking us as a group to gain nutrition more efficiently. Yuji? I don't want to know that stuff. No, for me to make my living as the Dragon God, I need to know. How many of them are there? They can hide their presences, so I can't give you an accurate count. I'm sure there's more than 20, however. Oh. Abysses are C-rank monsters. There's can't be many humans who are able to win against them one-on-one. Much less take on 20 of them together. This village did a good job surviving while the Dragon God was gone. If we are unable to reduce their numbers even a little at this time, the situation will be even worse after breeding. In my mind, I visualize close to 100 abysses marching in formation. I don't like imagining it. In terms of expected damage, aren't the abysses even worse than the manticore? Isn't it a serious disaster? I'm not enthusiastic, but I need to participate right away. Leave me! Leave me, barbarians! I hear someone making a racket behind me. Hibby-sama, you've arrived at just the right time. The truth is, I found an adventurer and tried to threaten him away, but I saw that he was injured. Probably an abyss got to him. 2 Lithavars are carrying a blood-stained man between them. The man is wearing a set of blue military uniform-like clothes with red trousers. Perhaps confused by fear, he's acting violent despite his heavy bleeding. It looks like he's got blood in his eyes and can't see his surroundings. He's got a scabbard, but no sword in it. He must have lost it somewhere. An adventurer, huh? They show up every now and again. He really has appeared at the worst time. If I was a human, there's no way I would go into an area that has these giant cockroaches crawling all over. Another demon beast is not what attacked him, it seems. Please take him beneath the meeting hall and get him some medical treatment. Understood. Piel, please calm down a little, we're in an emergency situation. If you don't take shelter soon, it'll end badly. Shut up, barbarians. You plan to sacrifice me to your evil god.
I know.
They pick up the man and take him away. I didn't get a chance to persuade my partner to use high rest. There's no time to chase after them either. He was making that much noise, so he'll probably be fine. I think. Do you have any traveling companions? Are they safe?
Shut up. I have nothing to tell you.
I see him shouting until the last moment. Adolf also said that the Lithavars are dangerous, so I wonder if that's the normal reaction. They're an unexpectedly well-natured bunch, so it's a bit lonely. More importantly, I should focus on the problem in front of me. Searching for abysses with presence perception, I face the village center. Most of the Lithavars must be taking refuge underground, as I see hardly anyone. Abysses can hide their presences, so I should change my approach and search for people instead. I pick up on some human presences and move in their direction. It's too dangerous to stay inside your house. We'll take you to the meeting hall basement. Okay. It seems that the non-combatants, children and old people, are being collected by adults going round in search of them. Should I help them with that? I circle around the building to take a look and they notice me too.
Dragon God-sama.
The child waves his hand happily. I'm still not used to being treated like that, so seeing that reaction makes me shy. In the next moment, a spray of sand appears behind the child, abysses appearing with it. Moreover, there's 3 at once. Were they hiding together under the ground? I really can't let my guard down. 265 Abyss Swarm.
Damn it. Go away.
The man hides the girl behind him as he braces his spear.
Viv.
With strange cries, the 3 abysses draw closer while grinding their teeth. It doesn't look like he'd be able to hold out long.
Guo.
I roar to try and threaten them away, but all 3 of them only spare me a glance before bending their legs and dashing towards the man. Damn it, it had the opposite effect. Last time they ran away, but they chose to go after their prey this time. Last time there were 2 abysses and 3 lithivars, so even though the abysses could have won, it would have taken them time. I kick off the ground and spread my wings, entering low-altitude flight.
Get back in the house, please.
The man shouts, and the girl moves towards the house with teary eyes. Breaking through the wall, a 4th abyss appears.
VAH. Kaya.
The girl screams, collapsing on the spot. I want to scream too. These guys really won't give me a break. Now that it's come to this, I need to scare them off. I tilt my wings towards the ground, raising my forefoot into the air, before swooping down and punching the ground. It's a return to ground, a skill I got through Brave Hero. The ground shakes and rumbles as fissures open in its surface. Aiming the moment of pause as the abysses are surprised, I flap my wings to fire 4 simultaneous wind slashes. It's a bit far, but with their movement stopped it should hit. Yage.
Ve.
2 of the abysses are struck in their bodies by the wind slashes and are blown away. Bits of them dance through the air, leaking body fluids. Their legs quiver slightly and stop moving. 360 experience points have been acquired. Due to the title skill Walking Egg, LV-, an additional 360 experience points have been acquired. The level of Ouroboros has risen from 66 to 67. The other 2 just barely managed to dodge the wind slashes. But it looks that was enough of a threat as they take their eyes off the lithivars and run away. I kick off the ground with my back legs and put my weight on my forelegs to crush the abysses of them underfoot. The sound of them being squished rings out and I feel the sensation of their legs wriggling under my feet. I hurriedly pull my forelegs back and rub them in the sand to wipe off their body fluids. It's discomforting, but if I'm going to get used to them then the unpleasantness can't be helped. But there are over 20 of them in the village? I want to think that some of them have left with my arrival. Thank you, Dragon God-sama. That child, could you perhaps escort them to the meeting hall basement? Despite sitting down to recover his breath, the man manages to compose himself to call out to me. I don't know where the abysses are, so I've got no reason to refuse. In the current situation, it's doubtful whether a single adult would be enough to get to the shelter safely. I nod, accepting to guide them to the meeting hall basement. With the 2 of them guiding the way, we head through the village. The aftermath of Abyss's violence are scattered here and there. The pillars of a storehouse have been gnawed away, collapsing the structure, and in a coop, all that remains of the chicken-like animals are their feathers and legs. My only relief is that I can't see any human bodies. After all, the lithivars must be used to dealing with abyss attacks. I hear a sudden, strange crunching sound. It must be eating something. Thinking the worst, the blood drains from my face. After signaling to the man with my eyes, I run towards the source of the sound. Right in the middle of the street, 3 abysses are eating something. Whatever is in between them probably isn't alive. Gooh! Roaring, I kick off the ground. As I land, I tear into the defenseless backs of the abysses. It's over in an instant. My claws pierce them, ripping apart their bodies. One of them tries to flee, but it's too slow to avoid me as I cut it in half. Broken abyss bits and body fluid scatter throughout the area. 558 experience points have been acquired. Due to the title skill Walking Egg, LV-, an additional 558 experience points have been acquired. The level of Ouroboros has risen from 67 to 68. Title skill Pest Killer has risen from level 4 to 5. I get the experience points for all 3 of them together. But I don't have time to be paying attention to that. Suppressing the urge to avert my eyes, I check what they were eating. It's an abyss. The abysses were eating another abyss. It's confusing, but there's no mistaking it. The abyss body has been bitten apart, with only a single leg remaining. They were eating it together too. I feel sick to my stomach. That reminds me, when I saw the abyss species explanation, something along those lines was written. About 5 arrows are sticking into the corpse. A violet liquid is smeared on the arrow tips. Is this the Moor's poison that Nagram used? From what I can see, it got pierced by the poison arrows and then stabbed to death with a spear. It looks like, if they can surround one of them, the Lithivars are able to take them down. That's a relief. Sorry, but I'll leave the corpse disposal to the Lithivars. It would be easy for me to do, but wouldn't be good for my mental health. I wipe the body fluids off my claws onto the ground. I wish I had known they were only eating another abyss. I wouldn't have hurried so much, damn it. I could have just defeated them with wind slash like normal.
That's the meeting hall. Thank you very much.
Now that we've made it this far, I can handle the rest. Before the man can finish what he's saying, 2 abysses rush into the meeting hall.
Veeg.
Biting through the door, they break in.
It's okay. It's okay.
The man repeatedly says quietly. The girl is anxiously hugging his leg. The basement is okay, right? I want to believe it's got a sturdy door at the entrance. Either way, I've got to deal with them. If they stay there, anyone who comes to take shelter would get eaten. 266 Repulsion. I run towards the meeting hall and crash through the hole the abyss made. The ceiling collapses and the rubble rains mercilessly on my head. Inside, more than 10 abysses are clustered together. They're jostling above an iron fixture in the floor. Probably, that's the entrance to the basement. Since they're clustering around it, I can assume they saw someone go in that way. To describe it simply, it's a scene of hell. Crawling around, they're sticking their teeth into the ground. The floor is being shaved away and holes are starting to form. I suddenly recall how the abysses came out of the ground earlier. These guys should be able to dig a hole, more or less. At this rate, won't they be getting into the basement? There's not much time. Rather than just my head, I pull my foreleg into the meeting hall too. Inevitably, my partner's head comes along. The entirety of the meeting hall shakes greatly. Gaiah. Seeing the abysses crowded into the meeting hall, she screams. Even I want to scream, but I haven't got the time for that. As I think that, 3 abysses charge towards my head. Vee-hee-ya. Their huge mouths open. A thick mucus stretches out in their mouths, giving off a particularly foul stench.
Go! Impossible. Impossible, impossible. This is too much. Go!
Raising my forelegs high, I thrust my entire body into the meeting hall. Using both my left and right forelegs, I slice up abysses. Rather than aiming to deal a death blow, I prioritize stopping them from moving. The lead abyss splits off from the rest as it leaps towards my head. My heart dies as I crunch it with my fangs. A lukewarm sensation spreads through my mouth. Its legs are still moving. Feelings of revulsion well up from the back of my throat. Vevehi. Vevi. I cough violently, sending fragments of abyss flying from my mouth. Don't think about it. Don't think about anything unnecessary right now. The sensation doesn't matter at all. Guo-oh. I feel I feel nauseous. Glancing to the side, I see my partner taking them down via headbutts. I should have done it that way too.
They split up, but where'd they go? Ga.
My partner headbutts me. Even though it's so sudden, she puts a lot of force into it. My vision flickers.
Guh.
I thought my jaw was breaking. I bend back, banging my head against the ceiling. A dull sound rings out. A moment later, an abyss falls to the floor from near my head. It must have jumped onto me. I guess she headbutted me to knock it off. I'm saved, but it feels like that's the first heavy damage I've taken since I fought the hero. I get her feelings though. Exposing my abdomen to the abyss, I put my body weight into my foreleg to forcefully stomp down on it. I don't like it, of course, but if I let it live half-heartedly, I'd like that even less. I need to be certain it's dead. The floor dents, and the abyss body is crushed as it lets out a short scream. 144 experience points have been acquired. Due to the title skill Walking Egg, LV-, an additional 144 experience points have been acquired. My arm is dirted by its body fluids. It feels a bit tingly. Right, their body fluids are meant to have a numbing poison. I don't want to think about it anymore. I want to take a bath. Via. The other abysses charge at me. I can't do this anymore. I pull my body back and start demolishing the meeting hall for real. The walls and pillars collapse, raising clouds of dust. One of the abysses tries to dash through the hole I stepped back through, but I see it get pinned by a piece of falling debris. In the blink of an eye, the whole space is filled with rubble and nothing is visible. 684 experience points have been acquired. Due to the title skill Walking Egg, LV-, an additional 684 experience points have been acquired. The level of Ouroboros has risen from 68 to 69. Great, it doesn't look like the floor's given way. It might have been better if I went to demolish the place when I first saw them gathered. That way I wouldn't have had to suffer so much. But from the amount of experience I gained, only 4 of them died there. In other words, they're still coming. Just as I prepare myself, a number of abysses come crawling out of the wreckage. Because of the injuries they sustained from the debris, hunting them is easy. 1 down. 1 down. Another 1 down. I make sure to slaughter each of them with wind slash. In no time at all, 7 new abyss corpses are produced. My level went up to 70 after I defeated the third one. I chop up the last one with a wind slash. 186 experience points have been acquired. Due to the title skill Walking Egg, LV-, an additional 186 experience points have been acquired. The level of Ouroboros has risen from 70 to 71. Even though they're good leveling, it's wasted. There's no way I want to seek them out. I've done enough abyss killing for a lifetime. My upper body is coated in their body fluids and it's really painful. Title skill Pest Killer has risen from level 5 to 6. Title skill Brave Hero has risen from level 4 to 5. I wonder if it's okay to take that level up as all of them being defeated. I still won't let my guard down, but I'll clear away enough of the wreckage for them to get out. I use my foreleg to clear the rubble away, exposing the door to the basement. Great, I've confirmed the floor is fine. I'm glad. I'm seriously glad. It would be great if I could say goodbye to fighting abysses with this. The door opens and Hibby's face pokes out. It looks like there's stairs below. Seeing me, she hurriedly puts on her mask. That's not really necessary. Well, I suppose formality is important. After muttering her usual incantation, she asks me a question. Dragon God-sama, the abysses are? I've killed close to 20 of them. There's no more left. Is what I think, but I can't be certain. They're good at hiding their presences after all. Following her, the military uniform man who was carried in earlier comes up, supported by a Lithovar man. His arms and legs are wrapped up in bandages of thin cloth. Derek-san, it seems the abysses have fled for now. Hearing that, the military uniform man breathes a sigh of relief and sits on the stairs. When he was brought here he was in a state of distress, but it looks he's calmed down now. It looks like his name's Derek. Since he was denouncing them as a barbarian tribe, it must have been hard to hold a conversation with him, but it looks like they got his name at least. He glares at me as though sizing me up, then gets to his feet. Warding off the arm of the man who was supporting him, he starts walking in the direction of the forest. Hey, are you going already? With those wounds, you'll just attract another abyss. Derek continues to leave, ignoring the calls. But a moment later, he staggers and starts to pitch over. Shifting her mask to expose her face, Hibby rushes to Derek's side. How would you feel about taking a half-day's rest before leaving? You lost your weapon, right? Without it, you won't be able to get out of this forest. If you're looking for your companions, we can help you with that. With the abysses this active, we won't be able to do a very extensive search, though. They're safe. Derek mutters a couple words as though he just remembered something. He's finally speaking. I see. That's wonderful to hear. They left me in front and ran away at the start. They didn't try properly fighting. Since I'm a newcomer, even if I'm not there, it won't affect their formation. He says with a trembling voice as he crouches with his face downturned. Oh, that was heavier than I was expecting. His shoulders shudder. Is he crying? Hibby gently pats his back to comfort him. Well, I'll leave him for the Lithivars to deal with. I guess I'll go on patrol. 267 Hiro Gagaza. Checking my surroundings with a presence perception, I run around the village. Nothing shows up at all. With all the residents taking shelter, the town feels empty, like an empty ghost town. I notice a large concentration of human presences, and when I go to check it out, I find a large building similar to the meeting hall. Probably, the basement of that place was also prepared as a shelter. After all's said and done, the Lithivars really used to dealing with the abysses. Though they did gather around the shelter entrance earlier. Once that happens, it's a war of attrition. I sense an abyss-like presence, so I go closer to check it out. I find an abyss corpse pierced by a large number of spears. It has dried out, so it probably wasn't killed today. I wonder if it's got an effect of warding them off. I know a lot of animals are supposed to sense danger and flee when they see one of their species' corpse. But for those guys, I get the feeling they're more likely to come closer when they smell the corpse of their ally. After hurriedly leaving the abyss corpse, my partner starts sniffing. Just as I'm wondering what's up, she stretches out her head as if to guide me.
Ga.
Gia.
What is it? What's up?
Is something there?
It's this?
No, rather than use a pronoun, please actually say what it is.
What did you find?
Even though I don't know what she's found, since all I'm doing otherwise is just wandering around aimlessly, I play along and check it out. I find a simple warehouse made of just a roof for shade, and under that roof, barrels of sake lined up. See, could she really have been lured here by the smell?
There's no way.
Is what I thought, but then she stretches her neck out with great force. I brace my body to resist.
What are you doing, having the dragon god be a petty thief?
If we're seen, there'd be an uproar beyond just disillusionment. Besides, we're not sure the abysses are all gone yet.
Ga.
Understanding my thoughts, she raises her head. Crestfallen. There's no need to be so disappointed. Next time I see Hibby, I'll request it from her, okay? Hearing my words, she nods her head as though struck by the idea. She licks around her mouth. If I forget to ask, she won't stick her head into the conversation, will she? That could make things complicated, so please spare me from that. After that, I go around the village for a while, but don't notice any abysses. Along the way, I pick up an old lady who was trembling behind a box and a boy who was alone in a house. He was crying when I found him, but stops when he sees me, and when I put him on my back, he laughs happily. The reaction I get here really is different from in other places. As I'm stealing a glance back at the kid, I notice my partner staring at me. I get the feeling my face has been loose for a while now, so I need to harden myself somewhat. Though, there's dragon scales, so I don't think it's strange for me to check on him. We encounter his father, who had been desperately searching for him with spear in hand. About 3 hours have passed since I started my patrol. I've more or less gone everywhere, so I'll take the 3 of them back to the meeting hall. Guoh. When I call into the remains of the meeting hall, the metal door opens and Hibby comes out. The scattered piles of rubble are painful to look at. Abyss corpses are rolling around too. Well, the one who destroyed it was me though. I wonder if I should help them out with the rebuilding. I get the feeling I should be able to build a house faster than humans can. Though I don't know if the residents here would accept my help. Following Hibby, some people climb the stairs and chatter happily upon seeing me. I want to wave back with my foreleg, but Hibby motions them back and they return down the stairs. I suppose she has yet to hear my report from my patrol after all. After hiding her face with a mask, she recites her incantation. I'm grown used to hearing it, so maybe it's meant to be a signal she's about to use telepathy. It could also be to help focus her concentration though too.
How is it?
I picked up the 3 people on my back. I didn't see any abysses. I'm not familiar with their habits, so I don't know if they've retreated or are hiding. They're probably not hiding, I expect.
Why's that?
When one of them came to the shrine, it sneaked into a tribute. Is there something like a rule for their attacks? Something like they'll always retreat by the time the sun sets? No, if there was an abyss in the village, it should be devouring one of their corpses. Ah, I see right. As gluttonous as they are, while we're hiding under the ground, they should be indulging in the corpses of their allies. Their presences are exposed at the time of predation, so if Dragon God Sama is unable to sense them, there must be none left in the village, I expect. I see. I see. I see. I am sure they must have fled in fear of Dragon God Sama's overwhelming strength. I hate to miss out on the adoration, but since today was so high tension, I'm worn out and would rather go back to the shrine. I want to wash myself in the river, since I've got to remove the abyss juice. Are you leaving already, Dragon God Sama? Ah yes? Can we leave it here for today? What do you want us to do with the abyss corpses? Should we bring them lat? No need. I don't need them. I shake my head with all my strength. My partner, who doesn't seem has heard much of the conversation, shakes her head vigorously too. As a result, our heads collide forcefully. Hibby looks at me in concern. But bumping our heads doesn't matter. More important is the matter of the abyss disposal. I don't need them. Feel free to burn, bury, stab, decorate, or dispose of them. Honestly, I don't want to see them. Hibby tilts her head in curiosity. No, it's nothing to be curious about. Just don't bring me any abysses, please. I understand. I'll convey that to the other Lithivars. I'm glad that got through. If I was surprised by abyss corpses lined up as tributes, I'd have run away from the village in tears, thinking I was being bullied. How many abysses are there? I killed about 20 of them today, so could they already be on the brink of annihilation? Unless their hive is destroyed, annihilating them would be difficult. That would be necessary to find the cause for their strange increase in numbers, too. An abyss hive must be hell. For that matter, there's still a lot of them. Unless their strange increase in numbers is stopped, the damage from them is just going to increase. However, it would be better if you didn't consider going after their hive. There's a precedent of Lithivars forming a team to go in search of it. However, there's no information about them entering the hive remains. Is it difficult to find? None of those that followed them came back. They were all wiped out? I've heard that 100 years ago, when the hero Gagaza-sama was here, alongside Dragon God Sama's strength, he succeeded in completely annihilating the abysses whenever they attacked. Ooh, heroes really are a thing here. The Lithivar's average fighting ability is high, so people whose strength stands out must show up every now and again. However, pleased by the results, our Lithivar ancestors foolishly compelled hero Gagaza-sama to search for their nest. As a result, soldiers were gathered from the village under the name of Gagaza-sama and left the village. I suddenly get a bad feeling about the direction this is going. They pierced an abyss that they captured alive with a spear and bent its legs before setting it free, thinking it would lead them to its nest. All the women, children, and elderly who stayed behind sent them off with their blessings. From then on, the sun rose and set many times. Finally, the abyss breeding season ended. But no one came back. Dragon God Sama also disappeared at that time for a while, apparently. I see. And now that you mention it, I get the feeling that something like that might have happened. However, to do what the Lithivar tribe can't is the Dragon God's role. And no, but in the best of times, it's a frightening prospect, but to do it now when the cause of their strange increase in numbers and sleeping in their nest. To search for their nest now would be. As she says that, her body trembles. I can tell that it's a lesson that's been passed down. Just talking about it must be terrifying for her.
Hey, let's stop here.
My partner calls out from the side. Right, I'd like to stop talking about it too. 268, Derek. As I'm turning around to head back to the shrine, the adventurer who took shelter, Derek, climbs up from under the meeting hall. Several Lithivars anxiously follow after him. Your injuries still haven't healed. Are you leaving already? Hibby asks, and Derek nods his head after a short pause. I can't stay here too long. I have to let them know I'm safe. If I spend too much time here, then. He doesn't finish his thought. He's probably thinking that he should go back right away. His companions probably think him dead, so it's unlikely that help is on its way. Hey, are you sure you'll be okay by yourself? A man who emerged following him asks, holding a spear. He gives off that that's okay to ask for an escort. It's okay. Besides, if you meet my companions, things could become complicated. Without a weapon, how do you intend to get across? The man hands his spear over to Derek. Derek is bewildered, but slowly grasps the spear pressed against him. It's my beloved spear. Watch out for abysses coming at you from behind. Graphants are slow-footed, and as long as you don't anger a Moors, you'll be fine. If you head straight out from here, then abysses are your biggest concern. After looking at the spear, even though he doesn't give any words of thanks, he bows his head slightly. He starts to leave, but a moment later turns to look back at the villagers. He looks at the man who gave him his spear, then looks at Hibby. Derek meets Hibby's eyes and his face goes red. He quickly faces forwards and Hibby tilts her head in curiosity. Could he have fallen in love as a result of being shown kindness in such a dangerous place? Certainly, Hibby is quite the beauty. It looked like Hibby's the one who spoke with him the most under the meeting hall, so it might not be impossible. He was showing them so much hostility at the start, so she must have managed to calm him down quite a bit. In the future, I'd like to express my thanks for treating me. Later, when things have settled down, is it okay if I come visit? After hearing what Derek says, Hibby is silent for a moment, then slowly shakes her head. Outsiders shouldn't come to our village that much. If you weren't injured, we would have threatened you away too, I expect. What you said earlier about us sacrificing you to an evil god. Though I said I had no idea what you meant, that was a lie. Please forget about today. Hearing Hibby's words, the other Lithivars hang their heads. That'd be about securing sacrifices for the Manticore. Well yeah, if they're offering up their relatives, then there's no reason they'd let a traveler go. This village had been doing that too then. Until recently they've been abducting travelers, so to switch to treating them kindly all of a sudden would feel difficult. There's no clear solution. That's why they threaten away uninjured people, but out of a sense of obligation to travelers, will save them if they're injured. Though that's how they ended up with the Manticore disguising itself as a human. I see. Derek says after a moment's silence, bowing his head deeply. I am grateful that you saved my life. However, even if you tell me to forget, I will remember today's events for the rest of my life. Derek says, then after taking a few steps forwards, turns back again. After this place. No, it's nothing. A complicated expression appears on his face. He seems conflicted as to whether or not to say something, but then decides to stay silent. But after turning back to the front, I faintly hear him mutter, "It'll be fine, I won't let anything happen." What is it? Is there something out there? I wonder if he saw some strange monster. Thinking I could escort him halfway, I follow. But when I chase him, his face turns pale and he runs as fast as he can. It looks like his recovery is going well at least. Gah! My partner casts high rest on the fleeing Derek. Perhaps because his stamina got resorted, he starts running even faster. She's gotten soft too. Though with that status, it'd be quite dangerous if he gets attacked by an abyss, so I'm not sure he really is fine. Though since the person himself says he doesn't need it, I'd just be imposing. I wouldn't like it if I mess up and end up fighting his companions. If my partner got worked up, she could kill them. On my way back to the shrine, I followed him at a distance with presence perception. I planned to leap out if there was any problem, but in the end nothing happened. On the way, I found a sword that someone had dropped. Derek should have noticed it as he passed, but he didn't pick it up. Perhaps he thought that a spear would be better for driving away monsters safely, or maybe he wanted to use the spear that he was so kindly given and acted as though he hadn't seen it. When he first arrived, he was shouting about them being a barbarian tribe, so I think there's a lot I don't know. Derek himself probably thinks that most of all too. I stop following once he safely arrives in the shallow forest and turn back to the shrine. It was a fair bit off route and nothing happened. Aren't I just traveling twice the distance? Well, it's fine though. 269 Attack on the Shrine. I've been having a bad feeling for some reason. I'd been getting a strange premonition. But I never thought it would be this bad. When I arrive at the shrine, the lesser treant is readying for battle, and Arrow, who should have been hiding as much as possible, has made her appearance. VEE. Their opponent is an 8-legged monster with a body that seems to specialize in causing discomfort in the viewer, an abyss. The striped pattern itself has become a trauma for me now. This'll be the third time I'm encountering one in the shrine. They really are multiplying out of control. Isn't it even worse than I thought? I should focus on the problem in front of me. Both Arrow and the lesser treant are only D-rank monsters, and their levels aren't very high. There's no way they should be able to beat the C-rank abyss. The status difference is just too much. To stop the fight, I dash towards the shrine. For clay rabbits surround Arrow, the products of her clay doll skill. They check for where the abyss will attack from. Arrow stretches out her arm towards the abyss. Say-ho. Clay. A light suddenly shines at the ground by the abyss feet, and the earth hardens into a pointed tip, stabbing towards it. An instant later, the abyss starts moving with tremendous speed. VEE. It runs around Arrow. That's swiftness. It's got speed, 200. In terms of status, abysses excel in speed. Arrow's only got speed, 20 at most. It's not completely overwhelming, but there's no way she can match it.
Goo.
I howl as I run, but the abyss doesn't pay me any heed. Arrow follows the abyss with her eyes, but she's clearly panicking. The clay rabbits protect her and break apart, leaving only their dying screams. In an instant, their life is lost as they return to plain earth.
Gisha.
The lesser treant swings a branch and arm downwards. There's no way it can catch up to the abyss speed. It must be a frantic strike to attract its attention. Of course, the hit doesn't land. The result's worse than just not hitting. The smashed remains of the lesser treant's arm dance through the air, and the treant itself is forced back as a result of the shock. The abyss mouth is clogged with fragments of wood. It must have bitten into it as a counter. Between its all too numerous teeth, I see fragments of wood and the crumbling remains of a clay rabbit.
Ve.
Vehi. Vehi. The abyss movements stop. With a vomiting sound, it spits out the clay rabbit remains.
Guoh. Yes, I'm in range.
I flap my wings and fire off 2 simultaneous wind slashes. The blades of wind converge on the abyss. It collapses on the spot, becoming a lump of meat. 105 experience points have been acquired. Due to the title skill Walking Egg, LV-, an additional 105 experience points have been acquired.
I made it in time.
If I was a minute later, Arrow, the lesser treant, and the baby Arini might have all ended up in its stomach. No, it might not have eaten them. It tried to eat a clay rabbit but spat it back out. Probably, it mistook them for normal rabbits and attacked. Though it was able to tell they were no good after eating. It might be animated to look like flesh, but earth is earth. It can't be eaten. Since the abyss tried to eat it, it might have a bit of a fleshy smell, though.
Rab-boi-oi.
Arrow limply sits on the ground, gathering together the broken remains of the clay rabbits. A tiny bit of water falls from her eyes. They're unmistakably tears. If it weren't for the clay rabbits, the abyss would have eaten her right away, probably. They didn't die in vain. They died to protect their mother who made them. Though knowing that wouldn't console her. It's not like she made them to be meat shields. If she had, she wouldn't have made them such cute, small animals. Most likely, she made them to distract herself from her loneliness. Since my fake life skill is like clay doll, I understand her feelings. However, at this rate, I can't afford to take my eyes off this place. There's no way of knowing when more of them will come. I didn't realize the abyss breeding season would be quite so dreadful. I ought to properly start raising their levels. In order to protect them, that's the only option. So far, Arrow's been A White, F, A Skull Lomage, E, and now A Reviana Mage, D. At the start, she was so fragile she'd fall apart at a touch, but when she became A Skull Lomage, she got better at moving her body and became decently capable at magic. Since becoming A Reviana Mage, she's gotten a flesh body as a result of gathering earth together with magic. Her next appearance should look no different than a human. Plus, from the way this is going, her next evolution will be C rank. Once her rank is C, she'll be able to fight abysses on equal footing. If she cooperates with the evolved lesser treant, she should be able to take them out safely. I don't know when the baby Arini spiderlings will start showing the effects of dragon scales. If they ever get the cursed status condition, I'll need to return them to nature right away. Until then, I should to teach them how to hunt to an extent. Because I picked them up, that's my duty. Since it seems they can eat abysses without problem, it would be nice if they could grow up to be abyss hunters in the future. With that decided, should we go hunt some abysses? Well, they'll show up anyway if we just walk. Abyss hunting is all we can do. I'd prefer to hunt some other monsters though, visually speaking. Just now, Arrow and the lesser treant were fighting that abyss. That should have earned them some experience points. I'll check each of their statuses. Name Arrow. Species Reviana Mage. Condition Cursed. LV 6/30 HP 46/60.
Mepe 51/63.
Species Lesser Treant. Condition Cursed. LV for 25ths. HP 21/44.
Mepe 22/29.
Arrow's level has gone up from 3 to 6. She might have only made a few moves, but she got a lot of experience from fighting the higher rank abyss. At this rate, once I start trying to raise her level in earnest, getting her to C rank shouldn't be too hard. Dash the Dragon God Shrine. Ouroboros ALV 71/125. Reva Anamage DLV 6/30. Laissez Trint DLV4/25. Baby Arini ELV1/12. 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 270, the Great Graphant. I lead Arrow, the Lesser Treant, and the baby Arini en masse into the forest. As usual, it's not like we can show our faces to the Lithivars at the moment, so I lead them in the opposite direction to the village. The baby Arini are crawling around as they please, though at least it looks like they're following me to an extent. If they stray too much, they'll end up inside an abyss right away, so I hope they don't do as they please too much. There's no way for me to get them to understand what I say, so there's no helping it. If I only feed them, they'll grow lazy and won't ever be able to hunt for themselves. First of all, I want to get the baby Arini to evolve up to D rank. That should be enough to make them considerably more sturdy. My presence perception isn't picking up on any Lithivars, so I carefully proceed through the forest. Noticing some small presences, I raise my eyes to once again see a group of small children sitting on a tree branch, emitting a faint green light. They're forest children, Rarens. They're lined up on a nearby tree branch. There's 8 of them this time, more than usual. I wonder if there's some reason for there to be so many of them. I hadn't thought they were very heavy, but with so many, the branch is starting to creak. It doesn't look like they're doing anything beyond just observing me from a distance. They're still keeping an eye on me then? It's a bit creepy. Hey, wouldn't you guys say I'm getting used to being the dragon god? I give them a look packed with that thought, but they don't give any particular response. After observing me for a while, they all jump down from the branch together and start running in the same direction. They soon disappear, not a single one being left behind. As usual, I don't understand them. Do they want me to follow them? But that way I'd be going into the shallow part of the forest. It'd be one thing if it was just me, but since Arrow and the others are here, I don't want to walk around an area where the encounter rate of people is high. Last time I followed one of them, it led me to finding another village. Though there's no reason for them to take me anywhere. Was it just a coincidence? Both previously and now, they just ran off in the opposite direction from me and disappeared.
This way, this way?
While I'm worrying about what to do, my partner starts pulling me in a different direction. She must have spotted something. I probe around that direction with presence perception. There's a large presence that way. I put my head to the ground and hear what sounds like massive footsteps. Is it a giant-type monster? I can't say anything without seeing its status, but it doesn't sound very fast. I can help from the side, so I'm wondering if it's perfect for everyone to earn some experience. The giant monster is headed in this direction, so I wait in a place where there's a good view of the surroundings. It's big, but it's still a size smaller than me. It's as large as the little rock dragon at best. I feel a bit nostalgic, remembering being unable to do anything but run away from it with Miria. While I'm indulging in my emotions, a distant tree falls down. The monster that makes its appearance by the base of the tree is a giant cow, about 6 meters tall and covered with light brown hair. The hair on its face is bizarrely long. Its eyes are bright red and its breathing is rough, so it's clear that it's in a state of excitement. It might be a little tough. Anyway, from this distance, I can check its status. Species, Graphant. Condition, Enraged. LV, 2765. HP, 342/361. MEPE, 125-153. Attack, 152. Defense, 167. Magic, 98. Speed, 64. Rank, C. Characteristic skills. Short-tempered, LV- automatic HP recovery, LV1. Resistance skills. Physical resistance, LV2, poison resistance, LV3, fall resistance, LV4. Normal skills. Horn lance, LV4 charge, LV3 ramming attack, LV2 high jump, LV3 meteor dive, LV2 power, LV3. Title skills. Strongman of the forest, LV4 reckless charger, LV3. Arrow status is magic, 42, speed, 22. Previous experience has taught me that in order to damage a target, you need to hit it with firepower of at least half its defense. If I make a wound and they aim for that, they should be able to get some of the experience. But if anyone takes a single hit from the graph ant, they're dead, so it's a bit dangerous. But there's no mistaking that it's a good target. With my speed, I should be able to interject the moment it tries to attack Arrow and the others. Plus, I'm grateful that it doesn't have any suspicious skills. There's some skills there that I don't recognize, but judging from their names, they're only about attacking straight forwards. If I leave its rear to Arrow and the others while I take it from the front, it should be restricted in its ability to attack them. Meteor Dive might cause damage in all directions, but since it's probably a pair with high jump, I should be able to tell when it's about to use it. After jumping up high, it'll fall back down. If the preparations are long, I should be able to safely evacuate Arrow and the others and before maybe launching a counter. Its level is quite high, so they should be able to get a decent amount of experience points. In order for them to be able to defend against an abyss, I can't let this prey get away. Even if they're not able to fight an abyss, I'd like if they at least had a high enough status to run away. As things are, there's a good chance they'll suddenly end up in the stomach of an abyss one day. They should fight here. Though I was preoccupied, my partner noticed it first. I ought to concentrate on presence perception a little bit more. That looks tasty. Please roast it after the hunt.
Ah, that's why?
Part of me was expecting that was why. I fire off a light wind slash to the Griffant's foot. Clad in magic power, the blade of wind draws closer to the Griffant's leg as though sucked in, before leaving a slight wound in its surface. Of course, I could slice through its entire leg if I felt like it. But that attack was purely to provoke it. If it got scared and tried to run away, it wouldn't be a fight anymore. It's important to attack it lightly like that to appeal that the difference in our fighting ability isn't so large.
Bumo?
The Graphant raises its thick neck and fixes me with a hostile gaze. Its eyelid twitches. If it were a human, it'd be saying, "What have you done, you bastard?" about now. I shrink my body down, trying to look as non-threatening as possible from its perspective. It's the opposite tactic of a weak insect trying to make itself big to look strong. I lower my back to the ground, occasionally fluttering my wings to fire off weak wind slashes. With a sputtering sound, the blades of wind collide with its forehead.
What are you doing?
Stretching out her head, my partner looks at me in concern. And no, I was trying to get that huge one over there to let its guard down. Well, I'm more huge though. You should stoop down too, partner. Put your jaw on the ground.
Bumohu.
The Graphant opens its mouth and roars as it charges towards me. It looks like the provocation was a success.